I visited the beaches of Stinson, Bolinas, and Swedes many times growing up, and I was intrigued to learn more about the different biotic and abiotic factors of each of them. For my fall semester project, I did a beach comparison regarding erosion, pH of the water, seaweed types, and water temperature of these three beaches. I set out on a solo road trip with my dog Rue as company and visited all three beaches in one morning. I collected samples of sand and water in mason jars to bring home and test the pH with pH strips I ordered from Amazon. On the drive over Mount Tam, I witnessed the gorgeous cliffs that overlook Stinson and Bolinas beaches. There was great erosion, with rocks clearly falling from the cliffs, and signs on the road warning of falling rocks. Erosion is common near the water because as sea levels rise, water running underground travels farther away from the shore. When dry sand blows away with wind, what remains is wetland and sand, which falls, causing erosion. It served as a reminder that while these cliffs are beautiful, they are also a sign of how climate change can affect the environment. I arrived at Stinson Beach and observed different types of seaweed. I was able to find red seaweed, brown kelp, green algae, and some green kelp washed ashore. I also noticed some cute sand crabs in the sand by the shore while collecting a sample of the water. The temperature was 57 degrees Fahrenheit. I collected my things and drove by the lagoon in between Stinson and Bolinas. The shallow, warmer water is home to many different species of seabirds, and I saw some pelicans and egrets. I drove through the town of Bolinas and came to a small beach with rocky sand. There I noticed barnacles on the sides of rocks by the water and a much larger variety of shells. The water was also 57 degrees Fahrenheit here, which did not surprise me considering the proximity of the two beaches. There was a gorgeous large piece of driftwood and some small pieces of green kelp, but overall there was significantly less seaweed washed ashore than at Stinson. After finishing my observations, I drove up over the mountain and stopped at a very small beach in Sausalito, Swedes Beach. Here, the sand was a bit more coarse than at Stinson, but less coarse than at Bolinas. The water temperature was about 58 degrees Fahrenheit. There were fewer waves because the beach was so small. There was no seaweed washed ashore, and there was less erosion than near Bolinas and Stinson, but there was a bit of crumbling on the hill leading down to the beach. I headed back up the steps with my water sample from Swedes, ready to compare the pH with my pH strips from Amazon with those from Bolinas and Stinson. The results were very similar to what I had expected. The pH was expected to be from 7 to 8, but closer to 8 because of the salt in the salt water. The Stinson results came back at 7 pH, Bolinas came back at 7 pH as well, and Swedes came back at 7.25 pH. This project was very interesting to me as I was able to learn so much about the local marin beaches that I've visited countless times throughout my life. These beaches were much more similar than I expected, but they each had small details that made them unique and beautiful. I've found that my love for Marin's natural beauty has only grown from learning about the individual factors that keep these beaches thriving.